Hello there, folks. Goal of this video is to step through calculate mean and work out what exactly is going on when this for loop runs. Up to now, you've been using the visualizer within the prep view interface. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate a different tool, the VSCode debugger. The debugger is an application that will allow us to step through the code and pause the code at certain points. If you look at my VSCode at the moment, in the window I have open iteration.js. I have 3 red circles over here, which I can hover over. These are called breakpoints. You can click on these and add them back on just by clicking. Breakpoints are points at which we would like to pause the execution of this function to inspect the state of that function, or in other words, to take a look at the variables we have in memory at that point in the code. So how do we set this up? At the moment, you're used to running files with Node like this, node iteration.js. However, with a small amount of configuration, we can get the debugger to start when we run file with Node. To do this, I can, on the Mac, hit Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P if you're on a Linux machine, and I can hit Enter where it says Debug Toggle Auto Attach. Then I'm going to select this only with flag option that says only auto attach when the inspect flag is given. So if I hit Enter on that, now I can do node --inspect iteration.js. So now I'm using this additional inspect flag when I run this file with Node. And when I hit enter now, something different is going to happen. Now we've invoked the debugger within VS Code, and we get down to this debug panel over here, and it's telling us that we have one active session. And if we look on the left, we see here local calculate mean, and think of this in a similar way to the frame that we saw in the visualizer or in the prep view. So the frame is keeping track at the moment of the state or the variables that we have access to within calculate mean. At the moment, I see we have list, which is pointing to this array of elements 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, and total is undefined. So what I can do is click step into, which is going to take us further into the function, into the execution of the function. So that total equal to 0, that line will have run, and now we see that total has been initialized with a value of 0. Cool. Now we're entering this block, which is for the for loop. At the moment, item is undefined, but as we step into the for loop, item is going to be assigned a value equal to the first element of the array. So item is going to be assigned a value of 10. If I click step into again, twice there, we enter the block or the body of the for loop. We can see that item now has a value of 10, which is this value here, the first element of the array. The total is still 0. So total was declared earlier outside of the for loop. And we're going to now run this statement here saying total plus equals item. So this is reassignment. So we're going to say total, which is 0. We're going to add on to that the value of item, which is 10. And so we should see total go up to a value of 10. We click step into, and now total has been reassigned to a value of 10, and now we're going to go back. So this is where we see the iteration in action, because we've completed one iteration of the loop. Now we're going to go back round and do the same thing, but this time the for of loop is going to look at the element at index position 1. So this time, item is going to have a value of 20, and now we're going to say total 10 plus equal the value of 20 So we're going to see total go up to be a value of 30. We're going to go into the loop again. Item now has a value of 30. Total is going to get incremented again, and so on and so forth. And we're going to keep doing this till eventually item will have a value of 50, which is the final element in the array. So total is going to get incremented one last time to be 150. But because we've now reached the end of the array, we're going to stop for loop, or the for loop will end. And then we reach the end of the function. Because there's no explicit return statement within calculate mean, it means that we have this return value of undefined, and then we return back to where calculate mean was called on line 9. So this interaction with the debugger gives you some sense of how you can play computer and how you can step through the code with the debugger. And for functions like this, especially where when you're trying to make sense of what's going on within a for loop, the debugger is very useful. So I recommend you check this out yourself.